Generation STEM is brought to you thanks to the help from the National Science Foundation and its collaborative association with the Center for Games and Impact, VEME, Eline Media, Haku, and Arizona State University.
Today in Generation STEM, a young student of architecture wants to leave a legacy of skyscrapers and communities designed by him. A teacher tells us how his students get ready to go to college to become successful professionals. He has owned his own company for many years, and now this architect wants to share with us his secret to success. An interesting computing program for girls combines social services to their community with the amazing world of robotics. This and more today on Generation STEM. Hi, welcome to a new episode of Generation STEM, a series that takes us on a journey into the world of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, or STEM. I'm Gabriel Salgado, and I'm going to be with you on this amazing journey. Today we are starting with architecture, a discipline that has left its footprint in history. From the pyramids to the skyscrapers we see today, we can see how technology and art go hand in hand. Calculus and the materials they need are just as important as the drawing or the design. An architect is responsible for designing a skyscraper or even an entire city, and this is Felix Reyes' dream. He went to Design and Architecture Senior High, or DASH, in Miami, and he talks to us about his experience in all of this and his plans for the future.
My name's Felix Reyes, and I'm a senior at Design and Architecture Senior High. And I'm going to Rensselaer Polytechnical Institute in Troy, where I'm going to study architecture. So I'm going to continue my study of architecture there. Since I was a little kid, one thing that amazed me and stood out to me wherever I went was going into the city and looking at the big buildings and seeing okay, how is that made? How could I make that? How could I be the person to do that? And then with that whole thing, it's how permanent buildings are. Buildings last for a long time and they affect a lot of people. And so I wanted to sort of create buildings that are also art pieces that serve as something that influence, people for decades and decades to come. Architecture is well-rounded. It's not simply about, learning these subjects in order to make a building. It's about taking the world around you and then making a building based on that. A lot of the time people say you need a lot of math to know about, how to do architecture, and that's important, but it's not as important. You really need to know art is a good foundation for you to do architecture because it gives you that whole creative aspect to it. Then there's the whole science and biology, as well as just being informed in general on all types of subjects and what's happening around you, because all of these serve as influences to do architecture. The whole conceptualizing, getting an idea and making that into a physical thing. So, an idea is not really tangible. It's something that you have in your head and you can't really show somebody your thoughts. And then you take that and you find a way to express that through a physical form. So, and that's where the building comes in. So you take whatever you conceptualize and you make a building out of it. It always starts with, we're doing our research drawing. So we do our research and then we do drawings based on our research. Then from there, we take our research and start making concepts. And we come up with an idea, a centralized idea of what we want the structure to emulate. Then we do our concepts. We do a series of concepts of different ways to approach that solution for that building. Then from there, we do the plans for it, the side views, the axonometrics, the perspective views of it. And after the drawing process, we have to make a physical model. And so that's when we actually understand how to make the building itself stand up. And then from there, we do our final presentation with like a jury. So it's like a long process and it's very intensive, but you know, it's worth it. This project is Transcendence. That's the name of the project. And I worked with two of my classmates. We worked on it as like a group project. The whole concept was rebuilding the school that we have now. So rebuilding Dash into, you know, like making it better, because this one's going to get torn down, so it's going to be rebuilt. So we were just coming up with ideas, and this was for a competition. We created this unique shape that's based on sort of like the way we circulate around the school, which is very ambulatory, like around the spaces. And we incorporated that into like this sort of very geometric, very solid shape. We were also meant to incorporate sort of like a retail space for like the Miami Design District, as well as sort of an office building / studio space where, you know, there's a university as well as, you know, offices and firms could be. To go to any college, you basically have to fill out the application. So you do the application, and especially for architecture school, a lot of schools ask for a portfolio that shows mainly artwork and then some architectural work if you have it. And then from there, you have to do that, plus, you know, the essays that are required for the application, filling out all the necessary information that they need to know in order for them to like put you as a student there. Dash helps us a lot in like, you know, that whole application process. So it's a lot about researching online as well as through pamphlets from the school, as well as talking to students that have gone to that school. So it's a lot of research, but I mean, it's the best way to get the school that's best fit for you. Going to college is like a whole like new experience in the sense that if you're going out of state, you're gonna leave your parents, you're gonna leave whatever family you have behind, but it's also good for you because it kind of breaks the cord in a way, but in a good way.
Felix is already studying architecture in a prestigious university. Although he still has a long way to go, we are sure his dreams will come true. Like him, many young people share the possibility of studying a STEM career that would definitely bring them a lot of success. If you want more information about STEM careers, please go to our website, where you will be able to find the tools you need to choose a career, access financial support, and much more. When we come back, we'll meet a teacher who gives his students the first tools they will need in their careers as architects. Succeeding in a career doesn't always depend on a student's talent or efforts. A key part of this process is the teacher that can start that spark in all of us that'll make us fall in love with a profession. Eric Hankin is one of those teachers at Design and Architecture Senior High, or DASH in Miami. He has helped many of his students become outstanding architects and designers. Let's hear what he has to say.
My name is Eric Hankin, and I am a high school teacher. I teach architecture at Design and Architecture Senior High. Design and Architecture Senior High, known as DASH, is a magnet school in Miami-Dade County in Florida. And a magnet school means that the students will focus on a particular professional path.
It actually would be nice if it were on all
I teach students in 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. When they come in the 10th grade, we start with basic skills, basic technical drawing skills. We do this project-based curriculum. So they will begin by designing something simple, and we will do sketches of that object, and I will then teach them how to do technical drawing. So they'll do the plans and the sections and the elevations. They should know how to draw. I think that that's the most important thing. They should get a sketchbook, they should draw from life, and really, even architecture schools are looking for those types of skills. They're not as interested in being able to draw on the computer. This idea of computer-based drawing from life. That's what schools of architecture will be looking for, is a portfolio of drawing. Architect, often we're told we're a jack of all trades, a master of none. So in other words, we know a little about a lot of things, because we have to be able to take a bunch of information and synthesize it for a lot of people in order for them to understand. And so we need to understand. An architect will work with a landscape architect, will work with civil, structural, mechanical engineers. And so they have to have the language in order to be able to do that, but they don't necessarily have to have those skills. One of the things that I always enjoyed about architecture was the puzzle. It's really a puzzle, and there are a lot of pieces that need to be put together in order to make it happen. I don't think that you need to be a numbers geek, an engineering geek. You don't need to be the best in your math class in order to, take the track of architecture.
We'll just put that there and that there.
Studying architecture, you will learn practical ways of using the skills that you're learning in math. It's the skills of problem solving, it's the skills of discipline, it's the skill of relationship, communication, and there's this sort of basic knowledge of technical skills.
The current kiosks we have now, they're pretty static.
Typically, we do a project for a semester, so at the end of every project, I'll bring professionals in from the community, people who are familiar with this process, usually architects, designers, contractors, people related to the design profession, and the students will present their work to them and talk about how they evolve their ideas and then get feedback.
And also it makes you explore the area.
They learn about how people use space, how people interact with objects, human scale, the relationship of people to their surrounding environment, and and then continue their technical skills while they're doing these projects.
Teachers like Eric have inspired and helped many students at Dash in Miami, and that's why this school has an outstanding reputation it's known for throughout the entire country. When we return, a man tells us everything he had to go through to pursue his career as an architect. Architecture is one of those careers that brings a lot of satisfaction to those who work in the field. Let's meet Ricardo Rodriguez, an architect of Mexican origin who owns an architecture firm in Los Angeles. Neither the poverty he experienced nor the gangs in the neighborhood he grew up in stopped him from following his dreams. The drawings he sketched when he was a child are now becoming modern condos. Let's see his story.
My name is Ricardo Rodriguez. I'm 53 years old. I was born in El Paso, Texas, but my parents are from Jalisco, Chihuahua. We were raised in Juarez City for a few years, but then later, my mother and father decided to give us the opportunity to come over here to the United States. So we moved here to East LA, in the eastern part of Los Angeles. This is where our entire life started, in East LA, in the Maravilla projects. It was like a fortress. We simply couldn't even walk around or cross the streets without the gangs telling us what to do, where we were, or where we weren't allowed to go. We were very poor. We were living in an apartment that was only 800 square feet, and there were 6 of us. 6 in total. My mom, Margarita, she enrolled us in a private school, a Catholic school, as we called it back in those days, right? And with the help of the president back then, we could get a lot of financial help. I always liked to draw things that I never had, that I wanted to have. And then a friend of a friend, I can remember his name was Roberto. He wanted to study architecture and he talked to me about it. I instantly loved it. To me, it was a source of motivation to change my life.
Well, it's looking good.
Well, it's out the door.
I cannot see myself doing anything else than architecture. Because for me, it was a relationship. Now that I've reached 53 years of age and after having my own business for over 21 years, you could say that I am in a relationship with my career. What we do in architecture is design the project.
Okay. Here on this side, Are we gonna switch it from the north side to the south side?
You tell me what you want, your lifestyle, how you'll use the space, all of this. And that is when I start coming up with ideas. Then the designs start to flow, and it's very important. What is most important is that my ideas capture what you intended, your vision for that project or for that building. Once that is done, we then make the blueprints, which are also sort of a legal contract with the city. So the contractors can use those blueprints to build the project that we designed. I didn't know how precisely how my life would be changed by architecture, because at the beginning, when I started noticing how I was changing the lives of other people, and that reminded me of how I used to live in a place that I could not change. So to me, that became a goal, to help improve the places where other people live. All the effort was, to me, a lot, because I also had the opportunity to help care for my family, to help care for my mother. She doesn't work anymore. You know, I remember I bought a house, and now she lives with me. I can send her on a trip to travel anywhere. I am able to give opportunities to my daughters so they can have whatever they want. Financially speaking, the opportunities are there. I believe there are 3 words, okay? To have courage, to change, to have passion, to follow the entire journey, and have love, am I right? To do whatever it is that you want to do, and not just worry about money.
As we can see, architecture has given Ricardo a lot of great things. He is proud of his profession because it has given him the ability to do many great things for his community. He's a good role model to follow. For more information about this and other STEM careers, go to our website, primotv.com/generation-STEM. There you will find all kinds of helpful information, like how to go to college, financial support, and how to decide which STEM career is right for you. When we come back, talented young girls in a computing program make robots talk and walk. The development of robotics is unstoppable. Robots are carrying out more and more complex tasks every year. Many fear that they could even control our lives someday. These girls we're about to see in CompuGirls don't seem to worry too much about that. This program is currently being put to use in several states of the country. Its purpose is to make computer sciences more accessible to young girls from 8th to 12th grade. Let's see what they have to tell us about it.
My name is Patricia Garcia, and I am a postdoctoral fellow here at the Center for Gender Equity in Science and Technology. I have been here for about a year, and I am training to become an assistant professor. CompuGirls is a culturally responsive technology program for girls, specifically Latinas, Native American, and African American girls from what we call under-resourced areas. So these are schools that might not necessarily have access to technology or technology programs. Parents, teachers, industry partners, and then the girls themselves are obviously a big part of the ecosystem.
So like 50 steps instead of like...
Here they learn robotics, and so they learn a programming language called Choreograph, which is based in Python. They learn 3D printing, and along with that, prototyping, so they learn how to make CAD files. They learn a visual programming language, which is more introductory. They learn something called Scratch. They also learn how to create 3D objects in virtual worlds. We get them to think about not technology in a vacuum, but really how technology can be used for real-world effects in their communities, their local communities, as well as the community at large. The robot is a humanoid robot, and the reason that we decided to use that was to really have the girls think about what role robots could play in the world. Aside from just, it being fun, we can use robots to help deliver food. We've been seeing them used in nursing homes.
Thierry. Nice to meet you.
Right now we are programming it to do certain things like to stand up and talk and walk. And we are doing this by programming canned motions, and these are motions that are preset. So right now what she's doing is the script for having the robot move is running, and so you see that script translated into actual steps in the humanoid robot. And the next step that you're going to see is her try to sit down. And again, this is a second, another can motion that's been programmed and choreographed. So this is a 3D printer made by New Matter, and what we use it for is to create prototypes and to teach girls how to do prototyping with files like CAD. And so you create a CAD file on a computer and you send that CAD file to the 3D printer. So what you have here is it's actually printing a ruler, and you can have objects like this, which are, tactile objects, and we use it in CompuGirls, and we have the girls think about how you could prototype and build things in 3D printers. Tried to host events where we can bring them back together. So for example, we recently screened a documentary called Code Girls, where we got past CompuGirls to be on a panel to talk about their response to Code Girls. The program is flexible, so each module, there's 4 of them, can be up to 40 hours each. And so depending on what the schools or the community centers want to do, some of them decide to do it as a summer camp, so 2 months long. Some of them decide to do it in 10 weeks. So we purposely keep it flexible so that it can fit the needs of the different types of resources that schools have.
Hello, my name is Thierry. Nice to meet you.
These girls have a great understanding of computer programming and other applications. Other girls need to hear about this project, and what's important is that there are possibilities like this one for all of us, even for those with limited resources. And before we go, we invite you to visit our website, where you will find information about different STEM careers, how to access a university, how to choose a major, and more. That's all for today on Generation STEM. See you next time.